and welcome to this thing that we're doing, live streaming. Good morning. This is not even the right project. Hi, how's everybody doing? Hopefully pretty good. We're going to be working on our dialect quiz bot. Yeah, save them. Let me make sure I've got the YouTube comments on so I can see what y'all are saying. Okay, great. And I can also hear myself. Sounds good. Hi. It's been a busy morning for me. We are going to be working today on migrating our assistant to Raza 2.0. So right now I am in I'm pretty sure I've been writing this project in fresh Rasa install. Pretty sure. And hello, Vasulalwer? Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Enrique says, doing good. Oh, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I have coffee, which is gonna help. Oh no, my mug is semi-transparent. What green thing is it reflecting? Interesting. There's no green in this direction. Fascinating. Chroma keying, man. You learn a lot about light and colors. Hey, Faisa. Hi, Christopher. It's show, right? I can never remember the pip command. Yeah, okay, it is show. So currently we are using Rasa version 1.10.8. And we are going to be updating to 2.0. There was a webinar on Wednesday talking about all the ins and outs that's available on our YouTube channel. I'm talking about how to update, and we are going to go through the migration process together. And this is the first spot that I've actually migrated, so I'm doing it live. Better than coffee. It's not. So, hi, Nicole, JH621. Good morning, good morning. It's morning for me. And our migration plan. I knew I opened a tab for some reason. Also, I don't need these. I'm not listening to anything. So, what did I call it? There we go. Okay, so here's our migration plan. Let's just go through it together and talk about it. Make it a little bigger so y'all can actually see it. There we go. So we have a existing Condo environment where I have Rasa installed. I want to create a new Condo environment. Vasu says pip freeze. So I believe that will list everything. And I only wanted the one package, but thank you. So I have I actually have like 20 content environments on this computer because I do a lot of install stuff. But we're going to start a brand new branch of our project. Which means I'm going to be using Git locally, which means I'm almost certainly going to put stuff into an irreversibly weird state, but we'll do it together and it'll be great. And then I'm going to clone my current Condo environment, which is called Fresh Rasa Install. I'm going to create a new Condo environment. In that Condo environment, I'm going to update Rasa 2.0, and then I'm going to follow the update steps for Rasa 1.0 project to a Rasa 1.x project to a Rasa 2.x project. We've got some nice utility scripts that the engineering team has written and spent a lot of time testing. So we will try that out. The one thing that I do want to set some expectations around is that we are using in our project. So it's a quiz and you get asked a bunch of questions about different ways to say stuff. And then it's like, oh, you sound like you're from 3 states in the United States. So it's a US-based dialect quiz. We have a pretty gnarly form to do that. And Our data validation is, there's a lot of steps. I tried to make it as flexible as possible on the user side so they can put in anything that they want. And it's going to take a little bit more migration with the form because I've done so much customization and it is so interesting. Feza says, always at this point my connection goes bad. No, I'm sorry to hear that. It might be a high traffic time. Mood happy. And hi, seafood fried rice. John says, can't live with it, can't live without it. Yeah. It's so good and helpful, and I think all of my problems with Git are specifically with the user experience and not with the underlying premise of the tool, you know? It's more with confusion about what specific commands do and more steps done manually by humans that could probably be automated to a certain degree. I don't know. It feels like a project that was really focused on a lot of edge cases, which is good, but also if you're not an edge case, you still have to do all the steps that are for weird edge cases. That's my Git rant. I am firing on all cylinders today. It's gonna be great. So that is our project plan. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I have my, it's too zoomed in. I have my plan over here. Still way too zoomed in. Yeah, so today we're just gonna try to do the data convert. And you can specify that you want to do NLU and core, but I believe this Rasa data convert command will just handle everything. And this will be available in Rasa 2.0, so if you only have Rasa 1.0 installed locally, 1.x installed locally, and you try to use it, it's not going to work. And then, so this will do the data. So I believe this is going to do the stories and the NLU data, and then the Rasa data convert config will do the config file, and that might also be included in this Rasa data convert command, and we'll find out. And then there's a separate migration guide for forms. So forms used to be in the SDK, so you had to have an action to run forms. And they have moved to Rasa open source proper. So you no longer have to have an action server running to run forms unless you're doing fancy data validation like we are. So the form part that's collecting the information is going to move to Rasa open source. And it's going to use rules. So new things in 2.0, rules are a big one. There's a couple of like fun machine learning things. We've removed this sort of like, this was deprecated before, actually, this thing where you had like a single name for a full pipeline. So that was deprecated. And for the moment, we are still supporting Markdown, but everything is transitioned to, everything was Markdown and is now gonna be YAML. Yeah, so your NLU and your stories and everything is gonna be in YAML instead of Markdown, and that conversion should be handled automatically. And it's all just like a lot more centralized. There's a lot fewer places that things are going to be in. Jiang says, why do we need Rasa 2.0? That's a great question. Mainly it just has a lot of quality of life updates and things that the community has asked for, and I am having a hard time coming up with a single reason why you need to change right now. Like, it's not super urgent, but we're going to be continuing to develop Rasa 2, and Rasa 1 will be supported, but sort of a legacy now. I should have a better answer to that question. And Mikhail says, form and mapping policies are deprecated, right? Yeah, so I believe you no longer need the form and the mapping to be in your policies. I guess and memoization, because the memoization policy, I believe, is now going to be covered by rules. Am I right by that? I've spent a lot of time this week learning about Rasa 2.0, and I still don't have answers to all the questions. Sabat says, feel like I really want a MacBook. Oh, I'm not using a MacBook. This is a Windows 10 computer. All right. What do we do first? I made myself a list because I know that I can't always focus. New branch of our projects. So, Git branch project local. Well, I guess I could launch it on GitHub. Also, I should warn you that we have like a high wind advisory in Seattle right now. So if the power goes out and I disappear, that's probably why. Basic branching and merging. All right, so nope. I'm in the weird state again. JA621 says, hope you can cover forms. Yes, we will absolutely talk about forms because this project is mostly forms. And Rashmi says, fallback is going to be part of the rule policy. Yes, it will be. And also it makes it easier to have a more complex fallback flow, which I know a lot of people have asked for. Enrique says, Rasa data convert config.yaml sets all lines commented. I don't think you need the YAML ending on that. Try taking that off and see what happens, maybe? Branch. Wow, okay. Git checkout. H-E-C-K-O-U. That looks right. And then a new branch. And what should we call it? Rasa 2. Git allows underscores, right? Or Git disallows underscore. I'm gonna go with dashes feel better. Rasa 2 migration. All right, we're in a new branch. Great. Create a pointer. Do I have to create a pointer? Sorry, I just have the Git documentation open in another page. I don't have any of this memorized. We're working in this branch now, so I think we're good because we've created the branch and we've checked it out. I don't think we need to do anything else right now until we are ready to make a commit. That feels right to me. I think we're good. If I've come to a weird state, it is almost certainly this point in time at which I caused that to happen. No, it's not giving myself enough credit. I'm sure there'll be multiple points of time when I put myself in a weird Git state. Alrighty, and now we want to clone the Conda environment. So I believe it's just Conda clone, what was it called? Fresh Rasa install? Am I off my rocker? There's definitely a Conda clone command. Oh, yeah, okay, it is create. Okay. I knew there was a command to clone, and they were right with their little helpful tooltip. Thank you, Conda folks. Okay, so it should be Conda create. Really don't love the line mapping on this, make it very hard to read. Name, and we're working in Fresh Rasa install. Oh, nope, so this is the name 2.0. And then it is a clone of Fresh Rasa install. And it's going to take a little bit to do that. Coffee. Hope you all had a great week. Mine was busy. I finally got that Django deployment tutorial out, which is fantastic. I will say, I guess I should actually probably put this in the YouTube comments. I have heard some people mention that the React widget I use, chat room, if you have a very long conversation, because it checks the tracker store fairly often, can lead to some extra latency. So if you're expecting to have a very long conversation, maybe use a different widget or write your own. I'm not a front-end person. I'm happy to use other people's widgets, but I do not have the patience to decide where buttons go and like what color they should be. And like, oh, that thing where you compare pixels as part of your tests. Oh, it just makes me want to take a nap just thinking about it. Group Rasa says, if we start a new production project, is it advisable to start it in 2.0? I would recommend it. We've done quite a bit of testing. It's pretty stable. We had several sort of release candidates that we had a lot of feedback on. A lot of issues were filed and resolved. So I would recommend starting in 2.0. Rachel loves coffee. Rachel does love coffee. I also say it is 9 a.m. for me, so it is my morning. Not that I don't drink coffee at night. All right, so I'm gonna start by why does Condo not autocomplete? ACTIVATE. So that's gonna deactivate the fresh Rasa install environment that we were in, and now I'm going to activate. It was what? Fresh Rasa install _2. Is that right? Great. All right. And I'm also going to create a virtual environment just in case, because I have run into some problems with Conda and Pip behaving weirdly with each other. So let me start a new pip env or virtual environment. Should I have these commands memorized? I don't know. Do I have them memorized? Nope. Sure don't. Alright. Great. So I'm going to create a virtual environment here. Nope. Virtual env. Andre says, wonderful to follow. Are you also on Twitch? I am. I am on Twitch as RCTATMAN. Same as my Twitter username. Virtual. Nope, that's not how you spell it. And then current directory. Oh, I gotta install it. All right, first let's install virtual environment. Pip install. All right, and now virtual env and the current directory. Okay, requirement, destination. Yes, you should join Condo, Python DexXC. All right. John says, digression from later is always Heroku for Django deployment. Your thoughts on Python Anywhere? I have used both Heroku and Python Anywhere. I like them both. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've ever used Django on Python Anywhere. I think I've only ever used Heroku on Python Anywhere. Nope. Only Flask on Python Anywhere, which is if you're not familiar with Python web development, it's just much lighter weight and smaller. Yeah, I do have a second part of the tutorial planned, which is Django on Heroku and then serving it publicly. I was going to put it in the first part of the tutorial, but it was too long, so two-part. The Answer to Life says, why not just create a new Conda env? I have created a new Conda env, and or rather I've cloned an existing one. But I've had some weird interactions where Pip has not been playing nicely inside the Conda environment and has made updates outside of my Conda environment. So I was thinking a virtual environment might be like another layer of security there. Although if it's going to be a big hassle, I'm just going to, I'm just going to roll my dice. And I think it needs to be a tilde, actually. Nope. All right. we'll just roll the dice, I guess. Alright, so in this environment we should be 110. 110, yep, alright. Oh, is it upgrade? No, it's pip install update. Nope. Oh, wait, I misspelled install. There we go. Require satisfied, 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 blah, 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 blah. I don't see any errors. And we should now be on Rasa 2.0. I might need to specify that I want Rasa 2. Oh, nope, that's Apache. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to specify that I want Rasa 2 specifically. J621 says pip env or virtual env better. I don't know. I'm sure there are differences. I just don't know what they are. Which pip is in your path? I think it's in the Condo path. Let's try. Frick, it's a stupid PowerShell thing. I can never remember what the PowerShell command is. There's your answer, nothing. I have no idea. Enrique says, live audience record today. Been waiting for this as I've been struggling with getting forms to work when I tried to follow the Udemy course on getting started with Raza by Blessed Tabvirwa. Yeah. The Raza certification workshop. I know that there's a couple courses that we've made on Udemy, and then there's a couple that have been made by the community. And I don't know what's in the community courses super well, but yeah, hopefully if you have any questions about the certification course, you should be able to reach out to the instructor through Udemy. I think I haven't been super involved with the Udemy stuff. The answer to life, thank you. Pip install -- upgrade Raza. Nope. Step 1, spell the name correctly. Thank you, the answer to life. And Andres also had the thing. Well, that's happening. Vasulor, so I don't know how that said, says, a suggestion for starter deep learning practitioner. Do you think I should consider getting a system for deep learning, or should I consider buying some okay system using cloud service providers? I personally would probably recommend renting time, so using a cloud service provider would be my general recommendation if you're just getting started. Yeah. In part because the latest, greatest system now is, I mean, chips get much better very quickly, so even if you drop a lot of money on a good system now, in a little bit, it's probably not going to be enough to train, you know, the latest state-of-the-art model, whatever that is. Updating. Enrique says, "Oh yeah, I'm in Windows 10. I can use sudo depending on what console I'm using or what terminal I'm using. Like there is a kind of it's complicated, but yep, Windows, which I know a lot of y'all use as well. So I don't feel like this is a super weird example." More digression, GPT-3 thoughts. We actually have a blog post on the Rasa blog, and then there's an NLP for developers video on the Rasa channel that goes into more detail. The answer live, NVIDIA Jetson seems cool for starting with deep learning, but also Colab. Yep. Or I used to work for Kaggle. Kaggle also has a hosted notebook service, which I believe you can now connect to a GCP account and use, you know, pay for additional compute. I think DigitalOcean has an option. Yeah, it's increasingly easy to get time on a GPU without having to own it. I sure hope this is only doing this in my Conda environment. Ooh, if this messes up my TensorFlow install on my whole system, I will be upset. I will be very upset. This is a long pause. Don't like this pause. Error, 2, 3, probability, cloud pickle. Okay, so we've got some issues here. So I'm guessing that it's just going to go ahead and update these to the reasonable versions. All right, and they've uninstalled the other versions. Tavira says, well done, I'm trying to pronounce my last name. Most people really struggle with it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. On the one hand, it really stinks when people mispronounce people's names. On the other hand, I do have a language disorder. I'm dyslexic, so I also feel for people who have a hard time pronouncing names. I don't know. Condo list to check packages. All right, I'll give that a shot. Thank you, Enrique. Vasuar says, setting things up is going to take more time than doing things, I guess. I don't know if you're talking about for deep learning or this Rasa install, but yes. Well, I mean, I realize that it doesn't feel Rasa 2.0. Excellent. And the SDK is also 2.0. And then Rasa X is 0.32. But getting things installed is like, it counts as work. Like getting your environment set up. It does not feel as productive as writing code, but it's still part of the process, right? You got to do it. All right, let me check my to-do list. Did I close that tab? Sure did. This is going pretty well so far. We didn't run into any TensorFlow issues, which is not always the case. All right, so we have created a new branch, check, cloned, check. Control C5. Nope, Alt P5, there we go. Rasa data convert. And once I do this, I'm going to commit, just so we have like a fresh commit right at the end of converting. Oop, this is not a good thing. Okay, so I have to do each of the things in order, it looks like. NLU, NLG. We don't have any NLG, that's natural language generation. We're just using sort of pre-written prompts. Core config, model config. All right, so let's do them one at a time. The Upside says, no TensorFlow issues yet. Don't you put that juju on me. We're not gonna get none. All right. Let's start with the NLU. Data out, error, the following arguments required, format data out. All right, let's hop over to the migration docs, because I clearly, when I was taking notes last Friday, did not do a very good job. All right, here we go. So here are the migration, here's the migration guide. Can't jinx it. Enrique says, convert file after file. Thank you, that is helpful. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So we have and then target directory. So YAML. So our current NLU is in Markdown. So this is going to convert it into YAML, and then data, and then the source directory, which for us is /data, and then out, which is going to be the target directory, which I'm going to continue to have be /data. My slash is in the right way direction. I'll find out. Enrique says, good idea to just convert it once. Path data does not exist. It does though. It's probably a slash direction thing. Does it need to be in quotes? Do I need the dot? I think that's it. Okay. Sorry, so I just popped down into that directory and I'm coming back up, and I think that my issue here is that I need to specify that that is a folder in my current directory. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So you can see here was our old NLU file, which was markdown and just had like a bunch of stuff in it. And here is our converted YAML file, so it's not in markdown anymore. And then we have the NLU and then the intent, and the stuff will go in sort of a bigger single file now in 2.0 instead of a bunch of smaller little files. So we have here the intent and then a bunch of examples, intent, a bunch of examples, and I should have, yep. So you can see that the structure of annotating entities has remained the same. All right, so that looks good. So now we need to do, I've got this open in another thing, core. So that will handle stories. Sorry, I realize it looks weird. There's something about when you're zoomed in VS Code where it does, like, will write on top of itself if you resize the window. Is core not one of them? All right, so I haven't, and it run. Yeah. Okay, sorry. It should be Rasa data convert core. I just changed a random word to core, and in fact, that will not work. All right. So now we have the stories that are converted. Here you can see the different paths. When people don't take the quiz, when there's a bot challenge. Does bot challenge show up twice? Nope. So one bot challenge. 2 interrupted form, and you can see that the way that forms have been talked about in stories is pretty different now. So we didn't have to do it by hand, thankfully. All right. Yeah. John says RCT uses Windows. I do. Mainly for streaming purposes. I also have a MacBook that I used for other work, but for a long time, since since I was an undergrad, so that would have been what, maybe like 10-ish years, until January of this year, I pretty much did all my development work on Linux, and I don't anymore. I mean, I still have a Linux laptop. I just, for my personal use, I just don't use it for a lot of stuff right now. All right. Enrique says automatic conversion is great, especially for stories. Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't have that many stories. Like, this assistant is not that exciting. Like, there's pretty much one way that you can use it. But I had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories, even for my pretty simple assistant where I expect people will mostly do one thing. So definitely a time saver. Pav says, does Raza 2.0 make it easier for multilingual bot development? That's a good question. I don't know. I know that we have really been giving a lot of attention to more rigorous support for other languages. But I have not actually done a multilingual bot in either 1.0 or 2.0. So I don't have a good basis of comparison. But if someone has, please feel free to hop in the chat. Don says, yay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. All right. Blessed says, I see where my forms issue is now. I'm using 1.x syntax in 2.0. Yeah. There's a specific form conversion guide, which is, I actually did save this URL because I was thinking ahead. So in the migration guide, #forms, there's this whole big section about the conversion process that we're going to have to go through together. All right. So the next thing, oh, has this just been poking out the whole time? Sorry. Is we've done NLU, going back to my irrigation guide, we've done the NLU, we've done the core. We don't need to worry about NLG because we don't have any NLG in this particular project. If you are using forms or response selectors, some additional changes will need to be made as described in the respective sections. First off, I'm going to do just a git commit converted NLU and core. Actually, there's like an A flag, right? All right, fantastic. So then I have a commit version where I've just done the first 2 steps of conversion, just in case we need to go back to it. MyPop says, if we don't want to use language translator, what's the easiest way to create a multilingual bot? So I have like sort of a generic architecture diagram in an NLU for developers video called Multilingual NLP, I think. But I would recommend just having 2 separate assistants or 2 separate NLU components. And then you can share a core between them if you have the same intents, or and then at, you know, speaking time, pick the right response language, if that makes sense. Or you can have 2 completely separate assistants and the same front end, and then you can just ask people to pick which assistant gets launched with like a button or something when they first log in. That would be sort of my general recommendation. Seafood says, seafood fried rice. Any plans to make the Rasa YAML files compliant with YAML linters? YAML complains about wrong indentations, and with Rasa X auto formatting files, this was often a problem with domain.yaml. I would file an issue for that in the Rasa GitHub. Nikhil says, what is the domain of this bot? So this particular assistant, I mean, I can show the domain file. Oh, some spam. One sec. Sorry, someone is spamming on Twitch, and I can't figure out how to ban them. Oh well. Yeah, what is the domain of that? So I can show you the domain file, but basically it is a quiz where I ask you a bunch of questions about how you would say different words, and then at the end we run a classifier based on your answers to all of those questions, and tell you what 3 states in the United States have people who speak most similarly to you based on your answers to those questions, and a data set which was provided by Bert Box. Thank you very much, Bert. It's a Harvard dialect data set. Enrique says, in config.yaml, it is the language sentence. I'm used to language Spanish and then spacey Spanish models too, and it works fine. Yeah, and if for languages that are supported for Spanish, languages that are supported by Spacey, which just also had a major version update. They are now 3.0. That will work pretty good. If you have a language that is not supported by Spacey, you're gonna have to do a little bit more legwork. We have a couple of different things and stuff in support. So we have like a word segmenter for Chinese. But yeah, if you're working with like, I don't know, Twee. I don't think we have a lot of Twee support, so you might have to do a little bit of extra legwork with your own NLU pipeline. Although if you have one that works for a specific language, please feel free to make a pull request if you have permissions to add it. That would be very helpful. All right. So we've converted, going back to my notes. We've done all of this stuff. 1 to 5. We have converted our markdown files to YAML. We're gonna need to update our policies. Keras policy is deprecated. I'm not sure if we're using Keras policy or not. and then convert the core policies. Has that been changed? Let me check. So we definitely changed the data, but I don't think we changed anything in our config. Is there a script for that, or do I have to do it by hand? Let's find out. Okay, so we do need to add rule policy to our config. And I believe form and mapping are both deprecated, as somebody mentioned. So let's get rid of those. I think fallback policy is also now a featureizers. Do I have any featureizers? I do not. But also I'm using this supervised embeddings pipeline shortcut, and that is now deprecated as well. So we're gonna have to fix that. And then TED policy, I believe that we're still on 2.3, 2.2 for TensorFlow, and the Windows support for TensorFlow text, which is a dependency for TED policy and diet, and all of our fanciest stuff is not supported for Windows. So TensorFlow team has said 2.4, but we'll see. Enrique says almost every policy is deprecated. Yeah. I'm gonna try TED policy. I think we're gonna run into those Windows issues, but it's worth a shot. Yeah, all right. So let's try just really quick Rasa train. And I think we're gonna run into some errors here that we need to resolve. Actually, I don't need a featureizer. I can just say what the TED policy is. Oh, also it would help if my indentations were right. There we go. You're using a pipeline template. All pipeline templates have been removed in 2.0. Please add the components you want to use directly to your configuration file. Yeah, please open. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. I don't think we did the config. I think we actually need to do that as well. So let's do that real quick. Do I need additional flags? I shouldn't, because we're in the right directory. No policies were found, which needs migration. The following command can migrate, mapping, fallback, and two-stage fallback. Okay. So I think we might be good to go, except we're running into this error about the pipeline config and domain while making backups. We'll also add rules.yaml if necessary. Your forms will migrating, blah, 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 mapping, triggers, and forms. Okay. I think we're going to need to, hello, Vectern music. I think we're going to need to set up our pipeline. So let's just quickly check out what the current recommended pipeline is. Rasa docs pipeline. All right, so I'm in an extremely zoomed in version of the, this is installation. I actually want best practices, and I'll use, nope. Training domain config, pipeline components. There we go. Okay, so let's look at the pipeline components. Mighty NLP, don't think we need this one. Spacey NLP, space component relies on this. I don't know if I have this language model installed. One for Hugging Face, if you're using their Transformers library. Tokenizers, we got a white space tokenizer. The Jiaba tokenizer, this one is for Chinese. Sorry if my tones are wrong, I'm sure that they were. The Mighty tokenizer, Spacey tokenizer, Convert tokenizer, language tokenizer, featureizers. I don't think we Mighty featureizer, Spacey featureizer. I think we're using Regex featureizer. Okay, so if we just want like a baseline, a good reasonable baseline for entity extractors, response selector, custom components. All right, so let's stick with a spacey pipeline, I guess. So, and hopefully I don't need to specify a whole bunch. So we're going to start by, is this a language model or is this a tokenizer? Okay, that's a language model. And we're also gonna need a tokenizer, I'm sure. So let's also add that. And usually you need a tokenizer before your language model. There we go. So a language model is a statistical model of the order that words occur in. A tokenizer splits raw text into words. Probably need a featureizer that, you know, turns words into math. And I don't... Do I need to specify the pooling? I might need to specify the pooling. So I'm gonna do that. Peace out. And I think this has to be indented. Does that have to be indented? No, that is on the same thing. Okay. And featureizer, and then we should be good to use our classifier, right? Because we're still in the NLU pipeline. Oh, okay, so this one requires dense features or sparse features. Okay, so in that case, we need to use the appropriate featureizer for that. Let's see. Sentence vector. Is Rasa a language? I have no idea what you're doing. So Rasa is a framework for writing conversational assistants. So basically automating the process of having a conversation. And in this case, we have an assistant that's doing a quiz. So it asks you how you say a bunch of things, like what do you call a sweet carbonated beverage? And then when you answer all those questions, we're running a classifier on that that says, hey, here's the 3 states in the United States where people talk most like you. And the Rasa library just had a major version update from 1.10 to 2.0. So we are updating everything to 2.0 so that we can use all the shiny new features. Is this gonna work? I feel like this is not gonna work. Let's just give it a shot. Let's just see what happens. Oh, we already did that, huh? Let's try training. Let's see what happens. Pip install spacey. I should see what TED relies on. I think it doesn't rely on much. All right, let's see. All the way to the top. Components on user works against components, blah, 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 blah. Yes, okay. And then policy, so this is the dialogue. So let's see what we need here. Okay, so here is a reasonable example of policy. So let's just pop this in here. And we do need the memoization policy. Okay, so that is not handled by rules. Okay, what are these error messages? Successfully installed spacey. Okay, excellent. And 2.3, so we are not using spacey 3. Did I get you smaller? Thank you. Okay, did I save this? I saved this. Okay, so let's try Rasa training one more time and see what happens. So I'm pretty sure these policies are going to work unless we run into the TensorFlow dependency with the TED policy. And the way this works is the NLU pipeline takes your text input and converts it into a computer readable format. And then your policies, your dialogue policies, decide what to say next. Sure, do not have this language model downloaded. So a language model is just sort of a way to guess what word's going to come next. Return Music says, I'm new and kind of interested in programming, so I didn't even catch half of what you said. We're updating stuff, is sort of the general idea there. Let's see. Nicole says, Spacey NLP must come before the tokenizer, if I'm not wrong, then featureizer, and then intent classifier. Oh, good to know. Interesting. I'm going to try it with this order. I wonder what's going to happen. Because usually you need to tokenize before you use a language model. Oh, I need to specify what the language model is, huh? All right, let's go back to here. These are policies. These are components. Gotcha. Okay. Nope, you're absolutely right. This should be right at the top. And then I should say what my model is. And I believe that I just downloaded something. In Core Web Med. Yep. Excellent. So English, Core, Web. Actually, this goes under the... All right, step 1. You go here. What is the spacing supposed to be like here? Okay, so it needs to be in line with the name. Two spaces, and then that needs to go first, okay? And then the tokenizer, and then the featureizer, and then the intent classifier. And I don't think I picked an intent classifier. What does diet depend on? Featureizers, intent classifier. Let's try the diet classifier. Dense features and or sparse features. Great. Only words unseen. Configuration just for intent classifier. Epochs, hidden layers. So this is a bunch of like things that you can tweak that are sort of more in the depths of the machine learning model, and I don't care about that much. And then this is the fallback. Okay, yes, but what should it look like in my config file? What's it supposed to look like in my config file, docs? I guess just this. I don't know that we need the spacey featureizer for this anymore. All right. So what did we try to do last? I'm trying to remember. We tried to train the model and we had a problem because we didn't specify what model we were using, which should be downloaded. So let's try retraining and see what happens. All right, it's trying to load the model and it looks like it was successful. And then starting to train diet. And this is where we're going to run into issues with Windows and TensorFlow if we're going to. User or user says, what does spacey featureizer pooling mean? That's a great question. Let's find out. Pooling. Okay, so the sentence vector is the vector complete utterance can be calculated in 2 ways via min or max pooling. You can specify the pooling method in your configuration file with the option pooling. This default pooling method is set to mean. So I think it's a way of, if you have the vector for a sentence, you have the vector for each of the words, and you can either take the mean, so you just average all of them, or you take the maximum in each dimension? Maybe? I don't know. If someone else knows, please feel free to pop it in the chat. That's my guess. And Fazio Aurora says, Rasa is used to make something like a conversational bot, which using machine learning frameworks. Yep. Excuse me. More coffee. All right, so the diet classifier here classifies both the intent and the entity. So the intent is at the utterance level, what does the user want to do? And the entity is in that utterance, did they say an important piece of information we want to save for later? And it uses multitask learning to do that, so it's training both at the same time. That's actually, I am curious about this pooling, and we've got some time while our model trains, so let me check it out. Pooling sentence vectors. All right, question from Reddit, which the machine learning community on Reddit is not the best. Difference between mean pooling and averaging word vectors. When creating sentence representations from eBERT, one of these terms means something. To get a fixed size representation, one can use a CLS token or just average all word embeddings. But what does mean pooling mean in this case? In the CLS, since it's pooled through 12 layers, is it pooled like we say pool in CNNs? Is pooling the same as averaging word vectors? Yes. Okay, yeah, so I was right in my guess. So I'm guessing the max is then, if you have all your word vectors as a matrix, you pick the max in each row. Would be my guess? Ugh. And Enrique says maybe pooling is downsampling dimensions like in CNNs. Yeah, basically. Do you plan to show migrating from stories to rules? Yes. Kind of. So forms are now rules. So I'm going to show a form to a rule, but that will probably be next week because it is almost time to wrap up. I'll check my calendar. But we can also, if there's like a specific migration, I should just do a migration tutorial video, huh? Yeah. Yeah, that would be helpful for folks. That would be helpful for me. I wish it existed. Sorry, I got a meeting notification. I don't have to go. Yay, our NLU model works. So now we're going to use our, this thing. Now we're going to decide what to say next. And right now we're not using the rule policy. We will for our forms in particular. Not a /ML fan. Is there a better follow on Twitter? Oh, I've just in general found the ML community on Reddit to be particularly mean, like not very nice, and also sort of sometimes people just say wrong stuff that I know is wrong, and I'm like, I've had a lot better success on the various Stack Overflows or Stats Overflow. Is just my general experience. All right, let's try running this model that is absolutely not going to work. So it'll work a little bit, but we don't have a way to handle our form right now. So that's going to be very weird. But we should be able to like say, hi, are you a bot? Like that stuff should work. Oh, and we have just a lot. Wowee. Okay, so we're gonna have to update all of our slots, it looks like, because we said that they were unfeaturized and that's no longer available. So let's just have a little conversation. Hi. No, I don't want to take the quiz. This story should work. Is that what I said in my story? No quiz, no worries. I guess I just have, where would it be? My domain. I guess I just have it like utter, ask, water, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I should probably rewrite that because that's a very weird interaction. But that is what I was expecting. So, are you a bot? And it should be like, yeah, I'm a bot. All right, fantastic. And is there anything else we can do without trying to kick off our form, which again is not going to work? Actually, we can restart real quick and I can show you what happens when it don't work. So that just like ignores everything that's happened previously. Yes, I want to take the quiz and we should just get an error here. Yeah, okay. Fantastic. And we do get some of our stuff. So like we didn't set any of the slots. So all the slots are just like, there's no slots. And then our classifier didn't run. So the results are like, no results for you. That's fine. Yeah, form action had submit method. What's the equivalent in Rasa 2.0? I'm still working on getting that myself, but let's see. There should be, let's see, blah, 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 slot validation, the logic for forms. Let's pop this open in a new thing. Rule policy, defining a form. Describes that, active loop, specific intent. So I guess the good thing is because our stories have been updated, we do in fact have the form being launched. We just don't get any of the questions being asked. The form will automatically deactivate itself once all slots are filled. You can describe your assistant's behavior for the end of the form with a rule or story. If you don't add an applicable story or rule, the assistant will automatically listen for the next user message after the form is finished. The following example returns an utterance, utter all slots filled as soon as your form filled all required slots. So to answer user, who's there? I don't know how your name is said. This question is, you don't need to say that you submit it once all the slots are filled. The form's gonna be like, all right, all done. What's next? Trying to manage my 5,000 windows. All right. There we go. Okay, so I think the next thing that we should do is, let's see, Nicole has recommended replacing unfeaturized with any, and I think that is a good next step. And then I think I'm going to call it there, and that will at least get rid of find and replace. So we're going to replace unfeaturized. I'm going to copy that to make sure I spell it right because I cannot be trusted. With any, and just replace all. There we go. All right, so now hopefully if I restart my bot, I should not get those warning messages about it not being about unfeaturized being not supported. Okay, no, I'm still getting it. Did I save this? I did. Please change the type and configure the influence flag for slot necking instead. Please change the type. So the type was unfeaturized and now it's any. Let's start a new terminal and see if that do anything. It's possible I forgot to save it before I launched the shell. Yeah, I'm still getting it. I want people to be able to retake the quiz. Sorry, that's what that was. Fascinating. Okay. I'm gonna stop my, I don't know why I can't remember which direction slashes go. I do know it's the dyslexia. So I'm gonna just quickly git commit at end of live stream. What's the date? I don't remember the date. October 16th. All right, so just make a quick commit. So I have that, again, I have this as a stable version I can come back to. Yeah, yeah, so next time we're going to continue working on this conversion. I think we've got pretty good so far. And then Nicole says autofill was not part of the slots. Ah, got you. So I have these slots where they are not autofilled. Well, let's actually try that really quick. I'm just going to try deleting all of this and see if that do anything. And then replace that with none. Replace everything. Save. Okay, and that's just the little flag to let me know as I've had deletion. And let's try shell real quick and see if that works. And Rashmi says you probably need to add the influence conversation flag. Yeah, which it did mention, yep, on this. So I'm gonna add this here. I'm guessing this is a Boolean. It feels right, you know? If we could just get this good to go today, that would be great. All right, so I'm going to replace any. Actually, I want to be a little bit more discerning. So I'm going to replace this line with all of this. And then replace all. Great. And then we have 2 in this one because I didn't think it through. All right, and just stop and just restart real quick. See if we can get rid of those warnings. Hey, thank you for your help, everyone. Oh, wait, hold up. Did I save this? I did. Interesting. So we're getting the same. Please change the type and configure the influence conversation flag for slot yard sale instead. Did I only do it for some of them? Nope. And I'm getting a bunch of warnings. Well, this is a mystery for next time, I think. I got other stuff to do today. Seafood Fried Rice said, thanks for streaming today. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next Wednesday to continue the migration. And I hope we'll get to forms next Wednesday as well, because I know that that's something that we need to work on. So, and hopefully we'll figure out this. Y'all, I know what the problem is. Oh my God. Yep. I think I know what the problem is. All right. Let's see if this does it. I'm pretty sure this is what it is. I think I needed to retrain. Let's find out. Just one quick little one at the end. I bet this is it. Orendon says, fingers crossed. Yep, me too. Yep, okay, yeah, that was it. Okay, just retrain your model. It's like the, upgrade, update loop on Linux. All right, thanks for joining. We solved this mystery. Next time, forms.